People are getting bored in their houses and they're naturally starting to wonder, how long is this going to go on? How much longer is this lockdown going to last? When are they bringing back the sports ball? When can I go back to the beach? When can life go back to normal? That's what people want to know. People are curious. And today I'm here to tell you that I don't know the answer. I've got my predictions. I'll talk about those in a moment. But who am I? I'm just a nobody. Let's ask Bill Gates of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation how long it might take for things to go back to normal. When can we go back to the sports ball?
But for places that do the shutdown well, you should start to see that peak. Then, if you go another 4 weeks, those numbers will come down quite a bit if you maintain the measures, if you're not getting lax in those things. And then,
So he's given you an indefinite amount of time until the peak, and then from the peak another 4 weeks. So you've got a minimum of 6 weeks there, minimum. But just hear this guy out, there's more to it.
then you can get it to a low enough level that the ability to test and trace contacts of the remaining people will be very, very high. And so some degree of opening up is possible.
So in a minimum of 6 weeks, minimum, then you'll be able to test people and then you can do some opening up. Okay, tell us more, Bill.
I've said 6 to 10 weeks, but again, every week as we look at...
By the way, this is from April 2. This is from a couple days ago, guys. So 6 to 10 weeks. Okay, what else?
those numbers, it'll help us see how much longer we'll have to be in this really extreme mode where we're not out and mixing around.
Yeah, so you're talking about midsummer probably at the earliest, where things are kind of...
So midsummer for the US would be what? July. And it's currently April. So 3 months is what he's talking about.
feeling like normal again?
Well, I'd say for the places that started early, I do...
For the places that started early. So for those who are starting now, maybe you'll have to add a few more weeks or months. Maybe the countries who started early a few weeks ago, maybe they will be able to stop this by July, maybe. But for countries who are just starting in the last week or two, that's probably optimistic. July's probably optimistic, says Bill.
I do see that by the end of May, they could have very few cases. But it'll be tough if we have other parts of the country that we're still mixing with that have a lot of cases there. And so...
you see. So even if a country has managed to reduce their cases in some areas, if there's some areas that still have cases, we're going to have to keep the lockdowns in place.
Lots of testing to get us those numbers so we can make these judgments well. Strong response throughout the country. Those are the two things that would tell us, hey, is May going to be the right time at the end of May? The seasonality of the virus, which we're still not sure about, nobody wants to promise.
Somehow these people are experts and they've got all these models that they're using. Oh, well, the experts tell us that with the modeling we have to, close down the beaches, right? They know all of this information to completely stop most people's regular way of life. But according to Bill here from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the seasonality of the virus, we're still not sure about that.
That's there to help us. That could, as we're getting into spring and summer, help reduce the number of infections that, for things like flu, other respiratory viruses are a big deal. And so the data is going to be key, and as we do the testing in the right way, that data will be very, very solid as a guide to what the next step is.
So maybe in the future we'll have lots of testing and we'll have some data. We're not sure about the seasonality, but then in the future we can come up with some more guides. I see.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier in the same interview, he kind of let the cat out of the bag, didn't he? Bill Gates. Let's listen to this.
How we're having to change the economy here in order to drop the number of cases. It's really unprecedented. And we're kind of in uncharted territory about how we minimize the pain. Even the issue of once you get the case numbers down, there's a lot of dialogue between our foundation experts and the government now, but what does opening up look like?
So his foundation and the government are discussing, once we do get the numbers down, this idea of opening up, what does that look like? Because, a lot of the regular people think it means going back to the way things were. Well, his foundation and the government, they're having their own discussions about what they think opening up might look like. And what does it look like, Bill? You tell us.
Which activities have, like schools, have such benefit and can be done in a way that the risk of transmission is very low.
Schools can open up, that place where kids go to learn all of those important things they need to know about climate change and social justice. Those can open up again because, for some reason, the risk of transmission among the children is low. So, when things open up, the schools can certainly go back. That's no problem.
Yeah.
And which activities, like mass gatherings, may be, in a certain sense, more optional.
Mass gatherings, they're more optional. Okay.
And so until you're widely vaccinated,
Until you're widely vaccinated, those events might not happen. So in other words, get the kids back in school pretty much straight away, sure. But the sports ball and the public events, they're optional, you see. So if people aren't mass vaccinated, maybe those don't come back. Let's listen to this again.
schools have such benefit and can be done in a way that the risk of transmission is very low.
Yeah.
And which activities, like mass gatherings, may be, in a certain sense, more optional. And so until you're widely vaccinated, those may not come back at all.
Those may not come back at all. Now, this is Bill Gates from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and he tells us that his foundation is in communication with the government about, well, when we do stop the lockdown or reduce the lockdown or open back up, what does that look like? Well, he just told you what that looks like, didn't he? The kids go back to school because for some reason that's safe. But the mass gatherings, yeah, they can come back when everybody's vaccinated. So those of you who are hanging out for your sports ball, and I'm one of you, by the way, I've got sports that I like to watch. I love watching sports. It's great. Can't do it anymore. It's finished. There's no more Habib Ferguson. Forget about it. It's over. There's not going to be a Habib anybody. There's not going to be a Ferguson anybody. Forget about it, man. It's all over. All right? The sports ball are over. And so people around the world are going to start thinking, hey, man, this is boring. We're sick of Netflix. Okay? Sure, getting paid money to sit at home is great, but we're bored. We want something to watch. We want something to do. We want to go to the beach. We want to have barbecues. We want to have birthday parties. Man, this is shit. What do we have to do to be allowed to do that again? And Bill Gates is saying to you, well, the thing is, until everybody's vaccinated, maybe these mass gatherings are quote-unquote optional. So put all of this together, guys. Connect the dots, and you tell me in the comments below, what do you think this guy on your screen, this dude, what do you think he's telling you in this interview from a couple of days ago? Now, while I've got your attention, if you are a member of johnthebond.com, in the last couple of days, I've released 2 new podcasts, member-only podcasts. In episode 17, myself and 3 other participants, we tried to answer some questions. Will we be seeing military on the streets in the USA? Some people say yes, some people say no way. Well, we discussed this one. We look at some of the reasons people are saying what they're saying. Are there really shortages of staple foods in supermarkets from Melbourne to Nova Scotia? And why those 2 cities? Because a couple of the people on the call were from those cities. Some people are reporting shortages of food, which don't seem to be related to panic buying. So why would the shelves be short of food? And then the question, why did the people who run the show take away the circuses if they don't intend to also take away the bread? That call was released a couple of days ago, already up to over 50 comments. The feedback and the response has been sensational. The discussion that's taken place after the call has been just as good, if not better, than the conversation during the call. So big thanks to everyone who was part of that. And then just last night, I released a follow-up call featuring myself and Jumpy. And Jumpy basically wanted to give his take on the questions that were asked in call number 17. So we spoke about these same kinds of issues. Will these restrictions on life be a temporary thing? Myself and Jumpy had very different opinions on that. Have people like myself been too negative about some of our prognostications about the consequences of this event, 3/11 as we're calling it? And is there reason to be optimistic about what's coming next? So I just published this one last night. I'll put links to both this one and call 17 in the info box below. So if you are a member of johnthebond.com, go and check those out. I'm sure you'll enjoy them. The feedback has been phenomenal. And as for you guys here at YouTube, you tell me, this guy here, Leave your comments in the comment section below. What is this guy telling you? How long do you think this is going to go on? Have you worked out where this is all headed? You tell me in the comment section below. On the 5th of April 2020, John LeBond coming to you from beautiful Kuala Lumpur. On day God knows what of lockdown. I'm losing count. And it's just getting ridiculous. I want my Habib Ferguson and I want it now.
No more monkey business! No!